Say this is the face of a killer. Murder charges just filed against Michael Roarty-Nugent. Detectives say he's the one who killed a missing Bedford woman. Good evening, I'm Jim Nelson. The body of Breneisha Lightfoot was just found last night in Slavic Village.
Yo, what's up? It's your girl Alada. I'm tapping in with y'all, telling y'all my new single, Little Bitch, just dropped on all streaming platforms. Make sure y'all go check that out on YouTube, Apple Music, or Spotify, wherever you want to go to listen to it. My EP will be dropping soon. Make sure y'all check that out too. Just stay tuned. I love y'all. Yo, what's up? It's your girl Alada. I appreciate all the love everybody been giving me and the support. I just want to tap in with y'all and tell y'all to make sure y'all swipe up and go get that Vicarious. The link is in the bio. It's on all streaming platforms, as y'all know already. I appreciate all the love.
This is Breneisha Lightfoot, a 26-year-old rising rapper out of Cleveland, Ohio, known to her fans as Alada. But on July 21st, 2023, her story took a dark turn. Her body was found deep in the woods, wrapped up and tossed away like she was nothing, after being shot several times by the very person who was supposed to love and protect her. Before we dive into how everything fell apart, let's rewind to where it all started. Breneisha wasn't just another artist trying to make noise in Cleveland's tough rap scene. She was different. She was building something that actually meant something that spoke to the people around her. Born on July 19, 1997, she grew up in Cleveland surrounded by struggle, pain, and survival, all the things that later bled into her lyrics. By the time she turned 18, she was already out there hustling hard, taking on rough factory jobs side by side with grown men just to make ends meet. She worked herself to the bone every day, holding tight to her dream of making it big in music, because she believed her voice could change everything. Her mother would later speak about this time with so much pride, saying her daughter's hustle was on another level. Breneisha worked harder than anyone around her, always pushing to be more, because she wasn't built just to survive. She wanted to shine.
Good evening, and thank you for being with us at 5. I'm Courtney Gooseman.
And I'm Delon Dillard. The suspect made his first court appearance today, pleading not guilty to a murder charge. Tonight, police are working to piece together the details surrounding her murder.
News 5 anchor Tracy Carlos has what we know right now.
That's when she created her stage name, Alada, and started pouring every ounce of her pain, strength, and truth into her music. Her lyrics hit deep, packed with emotion and real stories straight from her life. She rapped about losing people she loved, fake friends switching up when times got hard, and finding her own path to success even when the world seemed set against her. Every verse carried her fire, her resilience. Alada didn't blow up overnight, but she was real. She built her fan base from the ground up, posting clips, freestyles, and pieces of her life on Instagram and TikTok. People felt her authenticity. She wasn't chasing fame. She was sharing her truth. Soon, she had over 23,000 loyal followers who didn't just support her music. They felt like they knew her. She started collaborating with local rappers, showing up at community events, and tearing down stages across Cleveland. Word was spreading. Alada was next. Even kids in her neighborhood looked up to her, seeing her as proof that someone from their streets could rise up and make something powerful out of struggle. What made Breneisha Lightfoot truly stand out wasn't just her music, it was her heart.
Friends of Breneisha Lightfoot say she was committed to helping others.
She was a magnificent human being, and it's a shame that her light was put out in this way.
She cared deeply about the same community that raised her, always looking for ways to give back. That's why she joined something powerful called the Wolfpack Gunshot Response Team, training under her mentor, Sincere Shakur, also known as Ali Shakur. And this wasn't some light volunteer project, not at all. This program was about real survival, teaching young people how to respond in life or death moments. Breneisha learned how to pack gunshot wounds, treat knife cuts, and even handle trauma from explosions, all to help save lives before paramedics could make it to the scene. In a city where gun violence was part of daily life, her dedication meant everything. She wasn't just rapping about change, she was out there making it happen. After she was gone, Shakur would speak about the hole she left behind, saying the Wolfpack kept going strong because that's exactly what she would have wanted.
She was learning to help others when we first introduced you to Lightfoot back in 2018. She was a member of the Wolfpack Gun Response Team Cleveland, which was part of the Stop the Bleed initiative started by the feds.
I like this class because it's helpful, help me to do anything I could do at any moment. You know what I'm saying? The best, thing I could do when no one else is around at the time.
Her spirit became part of the mission, a reminder of why they started in the first place. But while she was helping others, a dark storm was quietly moving into her own life. That storm had a name, Michael Roarty-Nugent. He was 26, just like her. To outsiders, their relationship probably looked fine, maybe even picture perfect. But behind those closed doors, things were far from okay. Michael Roarty-Nugent wasn't just some random guy. He had a long, messy past. For nearly 10 years, his name had been tied to all kinds of charges: domestic violence, drugs, and illegal weapons. People close to Breneisha later told police they'd seen his rage with their own eyes, that he'd been abusive and controlling toward her. But like so many caught in that painful cycle, Breneisha stayed, holding on to hope that things could somehow get better. Maybe she believed she could help him change. Maybe she thought the love she gave would be enough to fix what was broken. Maybe the few good moments still felt stronger than the bad ones, until they weren't. Then came July 14th, 2023, the day she unknowingly posted her last TikTok. The short clip showed her in the middle of an argument, and shockingly, her sister seemed to be taking his side instead of hers. The caption said it all. "I thought we was family. You supposed to ride if I'm right or wrong, and I'm never wrong. Even I'm wrong." Those words hit heavy, raw, and full of hurt.
I was her trainer, and she was trained to save lives, to stop knife wounds, to stop the bleeding in knife wounds, gunshot wounds, and also bomb wounds. And she was one of my brightest students.
No one scrolling past that post could have guessed that just 3 days later, Breneisha Lightfoot would be gone forever. July 17th, 2023. It seemed like just another warm summer night in Bedford, Ohio. Inside their apartment on Lee Road South, Unit 916, Breneisha and Michael Roarty-Nugent were home together, but something in the air felt off. The tension was thick, the kind that made your chest tight. And before long, another argument sparked, one that would spiral way past anything they'd ever fought about before. Later, during his confession to detectives, Roarty-Nugent claimed the whole fight started over something small. But what he called small clearly hit deep. See, Roarty-Nugent had been drowning in financial trouble. His long criminal record made it nearly impossible to get a real job, and the bills kept stacking up.
That light darkened last week. Late Tuesday night, Bedford Police Deputy Chief Rick Sutz told me a concerned family member called police asking for a welfare check.
They hadn't heard from her. Her birthday was coming up that day, and it was very unusual for her to not make contact every day.
His pride couldn't handle watching Breneisha, his girlfriend, rise while he was stuck. She was gaining attention, building her brand, and he couldn't stand it. He told detectives that to stay afloat, he'd been selling cocaine on the side, hiding cash in different spots around the apartment because he had no stable income. According to his version of events, Breneisha took some of that hidden money, and that was the trigger. It wasn't just about the cash. It hit his ego, his pride, his need for control. That night, his anger exploded, and everything changed forever. The thing about abusive relationships is this: the reason for a fight is almost never the real reason. It might look like it's about money, jealousy, or some argument over respect, but deep down, it's all about power and control. That's what keeps people trapped. And on the early morning of July 17th, 2023, that toxic mix reached its breaking point. According to court documents and Roarty-Nugent's own confession, things turned violently tragic. He claimed that during the argument, Breneisha came at him with a knife, that he felt threatened. He said he was only defending himself when he pulled his gun from a hiding spot by the living room wall, but this wasn't a moment of panic. He didn't shoot once and freeze. He fired multiple times, unloading his rage until she fell silent.
Bedford police were concerned too when they discovered her cell phone tossed on the ground in Cleveland and when they arrived at her Bedford apartment.
We found what appeared to be a crime scene with blood. No one was home at the residence, and that's where the investigation started.
And instead of calling for help, instead of even trying to save her, he cleaned up the scene. Cold, calculated, heartless. But people in the building had heard it all. The gunshots, the noise, the chaos that followed. Then came the horrifying part. Neighbors later said they saw Roarty-Nugent dragging a body, wrapped tightly in blankets, down the stairs. They watched as he loaded his body into his vehicle and drove off into the night. He took her to a wooded area in Cleveland's Slavic Village, near East 64th Street and Francis Avenue, and dumped her like she was trash, like her life didn't matter. But he still wasn't done. Trying to cover his tracks, he took Breneisha's phone, drove miles away to East 59th Street and Chester Avenue, and tossed it there.
That investigation led to her boyfriend, Michael Roarty-Nugent.
He has a lengthy criminal record. He's been in and out of prison, been in and out of jail.
Probably thinking he was slick, He figured if her phone and her body were far apart, police would be confused and he'd have time to make up a story. But every move he made was leaving behind a trail of truth, a trail that would soon catch up to him. But Roarty-Nugent wasn't as clever as he thought. Security footage would later catch him on camera near the very spot where Breneisha's phone was found, proof he couldn't run from. That footage became part of the digital trail that would lead detectives right to his doorstep. After ditching the phone, he actually went back to their apartment, where blood had already soaked deep into the floorboards and bullet holes scarred the walls, and he tried to act like nothing ever happened. Unbelievable. Then came July 18, 2023, the day that should have been Breneisha's birthday. Her family was excited to celebrate, calling and texting her nonstop, sending love and birthday wishes. But every single call went straight to voicemail. No replies, no texts, just silence. That wasn't like her at all. Panic started to set in. Where was she? Why wasn't she answering? Her loved ones knew something was seriously wrong. They reached out to the Bedford Police Department begging for a welfare check.
Bedford police arrested Nugent Friday. Police say he led them to her body in Slavic Village a short time later. In 2018, Nugent was in the Cuyahoga County Jail when he claimed corrections officers beat him and sprayed him with pepper spray because he asked for an extra carton of milk. He filed a lawsuit in court. The county dished out more than $100,000 2 years later to settle that lawsuit. This morning, he was in a different courtroom.
They told officers everything about Roarty-Nugent's history of abuse, about the violent relationship, and about how Breneisha's phone had been found miles away near East 59th Street and Chester Avenue. All the signs pointed to danger. When police arrived at apartment 916 on Lee Road South, they knocked. No answer. The silence was chilling. Because of how urgent the situation was, officers got a maintenance key to enter the unit. According to the official report, due to exigent circumstances and concern for the welfare of Breneisha Lightfoot, Bedford officers entered 501B Lee Road South, apartment 916, in the city of Bedford, county of Cuyahoga. What they were about to find inside would confirm their worst fears. At around 4:16 p.m., Bedford police entered the apartment using the maintenance key, and what they saw inside was horrifying. There was dried blood everywhere, splattered and soaked into the carpet, and bullet holes carved into the walls, clear signs that someone had been seriously hurt or worse. Neighbors had already told investigators they'd heard gunshots and chaos the night it happened, and with that, the manhunt for Michael Roarty-Nugent officially began. For the next 3 days, detectives worked non-stop, hoping against all odds to find Breneisha alive. But deep down, the evidence inside that apartment painted a darker picture. The truth was already screaming at them, and they weren't looking for a missing woman. They were looking for her body. Then, on July 21st, 2023, everything broke open. Police finally tracked Roarty-Nugent down and arrested him.
You were cited on 7/21/23. You're charged with murder.
Tonight, he's locked up on a murder charge, but police say more charges in connection to this case are expected.
When they brought him in, he didn't fight back, didn't demand a lawyer right away, and shockingly, he confessed. He admitted to shooting Breneisha Lightfoot inside their apartment in the early hours of July 17th. But then, he did something few killers ever do. He led detectives straight to her. He showed them exactly where he had hidden both her body and the gun he used to end her life. When officers arrived at the wooded area in Cleveland's Slavic Village, they found her, just like he said they would. Breneisha's body was recovered, finally bringing the search to its heartbreaking end. The medical examiner later confirmed what investigators already feared. The injuries were consistent with multiple gunshot wounds, proving this was a brutal homicide. It's a haunting twist. The young woman who had dedicated herself to teaching others how to save lives from gun violence had become a victim of it herself. On July 24, 2023, Michael Roarty-Nugent faced justice for the first time, standing in front of Judge Michelle Paris at the Bedford Municipal Court. The hearing was short, but the weight in that room was heavy. The charges were laid out clear as day: murder, under Section 2903.02 of the Ohio Revised Code, a first-degree felony. The judge looked him in the eye and said, "You're charged with murder, pursuant to Section 2903.02 of the Ohio Revised Code. If convicted, you're looking at 15 years to life in prison and up to a $15,000 fine." Those words hung in the air like a warning. Judge Paris made sure he understood every single part of what he was facing before assigning him a public defender, Attorney Shireen McGee. who then entered a technical plea of not guilty on his behalf. Over the next few months, the case wound its way through the courts. Evidence was there: the confession, the forensics, the video footage, and the fact that he led police straight to the body. Everything pointed to guilt. But then came a twist no one saw coming. In February 2024, despite all the brutality, the clear confession, and the horrifying details of what he did, the murder charge was reduced. Instead of facing life for murder, Roarty-Nugent was convicted of involuntary manslaughter, tampering with evidence, and gross abuse of a corpse. The downgrade stunned everyone following the case. When Judge Dina R. Calabresi handed down the sentence, she declared 23 to 28 and a half years in prison. It wasn't life, but it was decades behind bars. Time to sit with what he'd done. The courtroom was tense, a mix of disbelief and heartbreak, as justice, however flawed, finally came down. It was a serious sentence, no doubt, but for Breneisha's family and friends, it could never be enough. No number of years behind bars could ever match the pain of losing her so violently. Still, the shift from a murder charge to involuntary manslaughter said a lot about how the legal system handled things in Ohio. See, involuntary manslaughter usually applies when someone causes a death without meaning to kill, like during another crime or through reckless behavior. It's a legal technicality, but one that changes everything. That reduction hinted that maybe there was a plea deal, or prosecutors felt they couldn't fully prove premeditation, that he planned it out, beyond a reasonable doubt. But let's be real here. When you look at what actually happened, Roarty-Nugent's actions don't look like an accident at all. He didn't just lose control for a second. He grabbed a gun, fired multiple times, cleaned up the scene, hid her body, and ditched her phone to cover his tracks. That's not panic. That's intent. He knew exactly what he was doing that night, and he knew what it would cost her. The charges for tampering with evidence and gross abuse of a corpse made it clear. What Roarty-Nugent did after pulling that trigger wasn't just cleanup, it was another act of violence. It stripped Breneisha Lightfoot of her dignity, showing how deeply cruel his actions really were. Even after her final moments, he tried to erase her, but her community refused to let her name fade. While courtrooms and police reports tried to break down her life into facts and timelines, the people who loved her were mourning the real Breneisha, the daughter, the friend, the dreamer, and the rapper known to the world as Alada. Across Cleveland, people gathered, candles flickering in the night, music playing softly, not to mourn a headline, but to celebrate her life and everything she stood for. Her mentor, Sincere Shakur from the Wolfpack Gunshot Response Team, spoke with heart about how losing her shook their mission to its core. Yet the team kept pushing forward, training young people, saving lives, and keeping Breneisha's legacy alive, because that's exactly what she would have wanted. So now the question is, did Breneisha really get justice? Was that sentence enough for what she went through? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I want to hear from you. And don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss the next story that needs to be told.